Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out HBAR's price chart, and I am going to fully admit this. I think HBAR right now is having probably one of the most complicated structures that I ever seen, because if you check out my previous video, every single time that I talk about the scenario that I really do not want to see, that is going to really complicate stuff, HBAR goes and exactly to the T does that scenario. So I fully agree with you if you think that this chart is getting really annoying. But hey, guess what? Unfortunately, the market doesn't really care about what you, I, or for that matter, anybody else thinks. The market does what it does. We should just suck it up and analyze the chart and see what might be the next likely move. Now, if you remember, the last time that we talked about Hedera, we were right in here, I believe, and the idea was that, well, okay, this can be like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, but again, we don't really want to see from here a continuation of our move down in order to start having overlapping of the waves between this face down and this one right in here. And we said if we start having overlapping of the waves, at that point we need to think about other possibilities. And the worst case scenario that we really didn't want to see in HBAR was having something like a 5-wave impulsive structure on the downside, not because this is necessarily going to be like the overall bearish sign that everybody is waiting for, indicating that HBAR is going to go down and basically have a massive crash. We said it can do that, fair, but the bad thing about this scenario is that it does actually open the doors to many different possibilities. So it is going to get really confusing. And unfortunately, I think we had that 5-wave. Now, you might say, well, okay, can this be our wave 3 correction for 4 and 2 about the lowest low? This can be our wave 5. And well, based on this, what do you have in here? This is 5-wave down. This may be correction up, followed by another 5-wave down. And well, wait a minute, this isn't a 5-wave impulse. This can be just a sub-waves for an ABC zigzag to about the lowest low, suggesting in HBAR we are headed higher. The answer, yes, it can be that. However, it's not really going to be my primary case. Let's go around here. You see, here is why. If you want to argue that we're going to have our final low around this region, maybe this is like a very important support, then okay, fair enough. You have to be able to find them off of the lowest low, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This specific count is called an impulse. Rules for it are, we should not have overlapping of the waves between our wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5-wave, our wave 3 should not be the smallest wave. Now, sometimes, believe it or not, the world is not really perfect, and instead we get some suspicious structures. And one example is going to be, you know what, a leading diagonal in form of a wedge, and it looks like this. This is our initial move up into wave 5, and it has to be the biggest wave in here. Correction for wave 2, another move up into wave 3. It must be smaller than 1. Correction for 4, it has to be smaller than wave 2. And also, unlike this impulse, in here we have to have overlapping of the waves, and this is going to be our final move on the upside into wave 5, and it must be the smallest wave in this structure. Also, we have another 5-wave pattern, and it's basically the opposite of a wedge structure, meaning this is our wave 1, and this time it must be the smallest wave. Correction for 2, big move up into wave 3, has to be bigger than wave 1, unlike this thing, followed by a correction for 4. Again, once more, we're going to have overlapping of the waves, but this time wave 4 has to be bigger than wave 2, and this is our final move up into wave 5, which must be this time the biggest wave in this structure. Now, let's go on Hedera's chart and see what is going on off of the lows. Okay, so first things first, between these two lows in Hedera, which one is the lowest one? As you can see on this chart from trading view, by like a very small margin, this thing is the lowest low. And question for you, how exactly are you able to find a 5-wave in here? Are you going to say that maybe this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Well, if you want to say that, since clearly we are having in this area overlapping of the waves between our wave 4 and 2, and also since very much clearly I don't really think I need to show it to you guys, wave 4 is smaller than wave 2, well, this is essentially narrowing your option to only and only a leading diagonal in form of a wedge, which in it wave 1 must be the biggest wave. But is it the case or not? Let's just measure it and compare it to our supposedly wave 3. As you can see, by a decent margin. Wave 3 is bigger than wave 1. However, this isn't actually allowed. So what is it that I'm trying to tell you? I'm going to argue in Hedera, there is like a very high chance this isn't actually a 5 wave. Most likely we are dealing with a correction in this phase. And then in here, we may have like a wave 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 wave down into wave 3, correction for 4. Guess what? Another move down into wave 5. So on a higher degree, I'm gonna say this is 1, 2, 5 down into wave 3 to about the lowest low, and this is going to be right in here. There we go. Correction for 4, and unfortunately, we got a truncated wave 5. Basically, this is a recipe for the most complicated structure that you might ever see in any chart from any market. But hey, it's absolutely fine. We're just here to analyze it. So here's the deal. If you want to say this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and at the same time, you want to be bullish in Hedera, well, okay. I think your best shot at being bullish is going to be if you say from this point, we are having, instead of a WXY, ABC down into A, ABC up into B, and a 5 wave down into wave C. And yes, we should say this is like an ABC running flat and on a higher degree. Let's go on maybe H1 time frame. Excuse me, I swear to God, I have a decent internet. I don't know why is it that every single time I get on TradingView, my charts do not really load up that well. Apologies for that. So this is going to be 5 up into 1. This is going to be correction for wave 2. And according to this bullish scenario in Hedera, soon we have to go on a massive run into wave 3, 4, 5. Basically, we have to just recover from this liquidation event and get back above at least these levels about, let's say, 26, 27 cents area. Now, can we have different possibilities? Yes, but for now, let's just entertain the bull case. Let's go on maybe 30-minute time frame. You see, earlier we said, if you want to be bullish on Hedera, you have to be able to find off of the lows a 5 wave. And since I believe this is the end of our move down and not the lowest stop, well, okay, can I find off of this point a 5 wave on the upside? The answer, so far at least, again, this is very important, so far at least, I don't really think so, because sure, I am able to say this is a 5 wave followed by a correction down. This is another 5 wave on the upside. And well, is this going to be a 1, 2, 3, wait a minute, where is our wave 4 and 5? Answer, we don't really have it yet. So here is what's going on in my mind in Hedera. You see, you can have many different possibilities. For instance, if you insist on being bullish, sure, this can be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's just real quick put the chart on regular and measure the length of our supposedly wave 3 from this point to about here and compare it to our wave 1. Yes, it's definitely bigger than wave 1. So this actually opens the door to having an expanding leading leg. Can we have other counts? Yes, you also can argue maybe we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is going to be on a higher degree into a wave 3, correction for 4, another move up into wave 5. So what's the point in here? I'm trying to tell you, look, one way or the other, if you insist on being bullish in Hedera under any kind of circumstances, okay, this is like the real point of today's update. Under any kind of circumstances, you do not want to see Hedera going down from the current point or maybe like just a bit higher, generally before taking the highs in here, in order to take this important slowdown here, about 16.8 cents. Why is this important? Because let's say from the current point, we're going to get a move down and take the loss. At that point, how exactly are you able to show me a 5 wave on the upside? Let me just interrupt you right there. You're not going to be able to. And even if you want to say this is like the lowest low, okay, even this thing is not going to be a 5 wave for you. Trust me, I have checked the rules already. So bottom line is, in Hedera, as long as we are not taking this important low about 16.85 cents, maybe we are allowed to be optimistic. But if we are going to do that, okay, then from the current point, we have to see in the next 48 to 72 hours a rather good bounce in order to start completing the sub waves for a rather good wave 3. Because again, in terms of Elliott's waves, you want to remember wave 3 is known to be quite a strong and sharp move on the upside. So again, it's fair to say, I think at least, that our move up in Hedera, if truly the bullish scenario is happening, has to accelerate. Okay, this is really the key, has to accelerate. And bottom line, like we said it earlier, you do not want to see a move down in HBAR in order to take this low. if we take the lows, okay, at that point, you can at least count on not necessarily being bullish in the short term in Hedera, and you can say, well, okay, either we are going to have a continuation of our move down and visit the lows in here once more, or at least according to maybe a bit of a least pessimistic scenario, we are going to just have some more chopping around, which is going to be really, really annoying. But hey, it seems like that in HBAR so far, at least based on what we have in here, we have been on that track for quite a bit. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Hedera. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.